Hey, we're continuing with quotes, Holy Grail Wisdom quotes by me, Pete Rogers. This is William of Occam. He's one of these early Christian philosopher, scholar guys. And he's most famous for what's called Occam's razor. When it was written like on a parchment or a sheepskin, you'd have to cut it to decrease the size of the paper. And what he's basically saying is avoid extraneous things in your thinking. If you're trying to explain something, use the hypothesis, which has the fewest assumptions built into it. The simplest idea is usually the best way. That usually comes into play. Like, let's say you're talking about a patient with a complex disease. You say, well, if I can explain all their symptoms with one common disease, I'll just do that rather than try to say it's due to 3 different rare diseases. So, with all things being equal, the simplest explanation tends to be the correct one. The explanation requiring the fewest assumptions is likely to be right. No more things should be presumed to exist than are absolutely necessary. Okay, next guy is Sean O'Casey. He lived from 1880 to 1964. He's an Irish playwright. And he said, all the world's a stage, and most of us are desperately unrehearsed. Yeah, it's like if you could live your life over again. That's a common daydream for me, at least. As I go, gosh, why didn't my parents coach me more? Why didn't they, don't get me wrong, I had very good parents who were very good to me, but if I could live my life over again, I would not waste all those years in a public school just BSing around. I would ditch school every day. I would do anything I could to get out of going to public school. What a waste of time it is. You don't learn anything. I would want to learn the ancient Greeks. I want to learn the Greek language. I'd want to learn a couple other languages. There's a lot of things I want to do. I want to learn how to draw, to paint, because I could apply that to anything else I did. If I played an instrument, it'd be piano or guitar. Anyways, you don't get to do it over again, but how much more we benefit. Parents should coach us. When I was a kid growing up, fathers really didn't talk to children very much. That was kind of considered beneath them. It was a mother who talked to us most of the time. I still have my dad as a role model, By the time I got to about, 6th grade, junior high, I would go to the bookstore with him every couple of months, but I would have been better off spending more time around men and avoiding school. God, what a waste of time that was. Okay, here's a good quote by Sean O'Casey. There is nothing so passionate as a vested interest that is disguised as intellectual conviction. Okay, next, Flannery O'Connor, another Irish name here. She's a writer from America from 1925 to 1964. She died young from some type of autoimmune disease. She said, I have found from reading my own writing that my subject in fiction is the action of grace in a territory largely held by the devil. You can't be poorer than dead. You shall know the truth and it will make you odd. Yeah, if you know the truth, then you're usually going to be an outsider because most of the conformist dummies are hanging on to something that's not even true. What I've seen is a lot of things are the opposite of what you think they are. Like you say, you go to school to get an education. No, you don't. You go to a public school to become stupider and to become sort of brainwashed into nonsense. Okay, you don't go there to become smarter or educated. You go there and maybe get your ticket punched so you can go to the next stage in the academic game before you can, sometimes you need that for some jobs. Okay, you will have found Christ when you are concerned with other people's sufferings and not your own. A story is a way to say something that can't be said any other way. And it takes every word in the story to say what the meaning is. You tell a story because a statement would be inadequate. Okay? I know like when you talk to your friends, you want to tell them the story. Can't just say it in one line a lot of times. When anybody asks you what a story is about, the only proper thing is to tell them to read the story. The meaning of fiction is not abstract meaning, but experienced meaning. It is the beginning of the artist to uncover the strangeness of truth. It is the business of the artist to uncover the strangeness of the truth. Okay? Whenever I am asked, it's a little bit like Anis Nin quote from yesterday, that it's the job of the writer to say things that other people can't say, they're not willing to say, or they're not able to articulate, but it's useful and interesting to them. Whenever I am asked why Southern writers particularly have a penchant for writing about freaks, I say it is because we are still able to recognize one. Now that's a good line, because that's true. A lot of freakish bad behavior gets normalized in the crazy modern West. Flannery O'Connor continues, the fiction that Ayn Rand writes is as low as you can get in fiction. I hope you picked it up off the floor of the subway and threw it in the nearest garbage pail. She makes Mickey Spillane look like Dostoevsky. Okay, now it sounds to me like she's a little jealous. Ayn Rand was like the biggest, most popular writer around in her day. Atlas Shrugged was a masterpiece, all right? All right, next quote by Flannery O'Connor. The novel that fails is a novel in which there is no sense of place, in which the feeling is by that much diminished. It is action that occurs in an abstracted setting that could be anywhere or nowhere. This reduces its dimensions drastically. Okay, I think that's all for this session. I hope you found that enjoyable, interesting.